Hey Fred, we're here for video number 2, and there's another article that was kind of found in many of the other articles that you wanted me to look up, and it was called Cooking the Health Out of Your Food. It's a study done by Mount Sinai School of Medicine that suggests that how hot you cook your food really matters. The high heat, the frying, the grilling, the roasting, the baking, the broiling does cause inflammatory particles in the system that can affect such diseases or be associated with diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, Alzheimer's, and others. They actually classified it as advanced glycation end products. They kind of use that acronym of aged. But these toxic inflammatory particles obviously will affect brain and joints. They increase inflammation, and it's really part of the Western diet that speaks to meat and processed food and light on the plant-based foods. So I know that you obviously, speak to many of a high percentage of a raw food lifestyle, but finally, I guess the medical community, at least the School of Medicine in New York City, is addressing that. Can you give me some comments, please?
Well, I think it's getting to be common knowledge today that fried food is a disaster. And when you're cooking some of these, when you're frying food and cooking animal proteins at a high temperature, these particles, the effect it has on the mucous membranes and on your digestive system and even on your circulatory system, your body reacts to it and causes inflammation. And inflammation is really the precursor to most diseases. So if the body's reacting to these foods and causing inflammation, that's really just the beginning of the problem, because most of the people that fry their foods and cook their foods at extremely high temperatures, this is part of their lifestyle. This is an ongoing thing, day in and day out. And it just begins with inflammation, but as time goes on, this glycation could lead into different serious types of degenerative diseases like cancer, arthritis, all these diseases that really are getting to be a real problem in our society today. These diseases are increasing. What I'm trying to say is a direct correlation to the increase in the use of these foods and in the use of these foods in the increase of diseases in our society. I definitely don't recommend that cooking your foods at very, very high temperatures to avoid glycation. I encourage people to eat a diet that it's mostly raw, 80% raw, steamed vegetables, and I discourage people from frying food at all, because I know frying is, in my observation and my research over the last 40 years, it's just not conducive to being a healthy person. And there's a much better way to go. It leads to overall health, and glycation is part of the problem with aging. I think if you don't fry your foods and you keep the animal protein within a safe range, you're going to do much better all the way around.
Thanks, Fred. And as a closer here, this Dr. Valacera basically speaks to about the combinations of heating protein and throwing in some sugar if you want to sweeten up the meat. That really is a bad combination to put together to increase oxidation fat. And I think it has to be reminded, Fred, and you kind of maybe, if you can hit on some of these points, processed food is already cooked already. And then when people pull it out of the thing and they recook it again, they're again sending it into a whole nother chemistry, as well as all the additives and the flavorings. That's all cooked. And it was really funny in here, in the back end of the article, it says, yeah, you got to watch out for those roasted nuts and roasted and broiled tofu. So can you give me some closing comments, please?
Well, I mean, if there's one thing I really keep dwelling on with the people I speak to and the information I give out is to avoid processed foods. I believe that processed food is the ultimate disaster. I've seen so many people just by stop eating processed food, eating just about anything that's not processed, I see a tremendous improvement in their health, all the way up into a raw diet. So any kind of processing should be kept to a minimum or avoided completely. That's the reason why in my intermediate level diet it's really 70-80% raw. lightly steamed, and a minimal amount of, if the person wants to eat animal protein, is to a minimal amount, that the maximum amount would be every other day along with the vegetables. No matter what it is, if it's processed, whether it's heated or broken down in a laboratory or removing a bran and a germ from whole grains, they're taking this food and they're really making it incompatible with the human physiology. That's one of them. There's a direct correlation with the increase of processed food and the increase of diseases in our society.
Great. Thank you, Fred, very much. And don't forget to check out our other videos on the vlog at www.fredbishyforhealth.com.